What an intriguing scenario. Let's continue the story. Beast's eyes widened behind his glasses as he turned to face Wolverine. What do you mean, Logan? He asked, his voice laced with curiosity. Wolverine pointed a finger towards SCP-682, the massive, reptilian creature with a crocodilian-like body and multiple green glowing eyes. That thing looks hungry, Hank, Wolverine said, his voice low and serious. Beast's gaze followed Wolverine's pointing finger, and his eyes grew even wider as he took in the sight of SCP-682. Good heavens, Beast muttered, his voice barely audible. Suddenly, Beast's eyes darted towards the window, where Godzilla, the king of the monsters, was rampaging through the city. Beast's finger shot out, pointing towards Godzilla. Wait, what's that? Beast exclaimed. SCP-682's gaze followed Beast's pointing finger, and its multiple green glowing eyes locked onto Godzilla. The creature's massive body began to move, its powerful legs propelling it towards Godzilla with alarming speed. Oh dear, I think we have a problem, Beast said, his voice laced with concern. Wolverine's eyes narrowed, his hand instinctively going to the hilt of his adamantium claws. You think? Wolverine muttered, his voice dripping with sarcasm. As SCP-682 closed in on Godzilla, the two titans prepared to clash in a battle for the ages. Beast and Wolverine watched in awe, wondering what the outcome of this monstrous confrontation would be. As SCP-682 clashed with Godzilla, the two titans exchanged blows, their roars echoing through the city. Godzilla's atomic breath washed over SCP-682, but the creature's adaptive abilities allowed it to withstand the intense heat and radiation. SCP-682 retaliated by slashing at Godzilla's thick skin with its razor-sharp claws. Godzilla's hide was notoriously resistant to damage, but SCP-682's claws seemed to be infused with an otherworldly sharpness. As the battle raged on, SCP-682's body began to shift and contort, its cells adapting to the stresses of combat. The creature's strength and speed increased exponentially, allowing it to trade blows with Godzilla on a more even footing. Beast and Wolverine watched in awe as SCP-682's claws sliced through Godzilla's skin, causing the atomic monster to roar in pain. This is impossible, Beast muttered, his eyes wide with wonder. SCP-682 is adapting to Godzilla's attacks at an exponential rate. Wolverine's eyes narrowed, his grip on his adamantium claws tightening. We need to get out of here, Hank. This fight is going to get ugly, fast. As the battle raged on, SCP-682's adaptability continued to give it an edge over Godzilla. The creature's body shifted and contorted, its cells adapting to Godzilla's attacks at an incredible rate. SCP-682's claws sliced through Godzilla's skin with ease, causing the atomic monster to stumble backwards. Godzilla retaliated with a blast of atomic breath, but SCP-682 was ready. Its body began to shift and change, its cells adapting to the intense heat and radiation. As the atomic breath washed over SCP-682, the creature's body began to glow with an eerie, pulsing light. Its cells were absorbing the energy from the atomic breath, using it to fuel its own strength and speed. Beast and Wolverine watched in awe as SCP-682's body began to grow and change, its muscles bulging with newfound strength. This is incredible, Beast muttered, his eyes wide with wonder. SCP-682 is adapting to Godzilla's attacks at an exponential rate. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. Wolverine's eyes narrowed, his grip on his adamantium claws tightening. We need to get out of here, Hank. This fight is going to get ugly, fast. And I don't think Godzilla is going to come out on top. As Godzilla unleashed his atomic breath, SCP-682's body began to glow with an intense, eerie light. The creature's multiple green eyes blazed with fury, and its roar grew louder, generating powerful green energy waves that shook the air. SCP-682's body began to shift and contort, its cells adapting to the atomic breath at an incredible rate. The creature's strength increased exponentially, its muscles bulging with newfound power. Beast and Wolverine watched in awe as SCP-682's body parts began to sharpen, its already formidable claws and teeth growing even more razor-sharp. The creature's skin seemed to ripple and flex, as if it were made of living, breathing steel. This is insane, Beast muttered, his eyes wide with wonder. SCP-682 is adapting to Godzilla's attacks at an exponential rate. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. Wolverine's eyes narrowed, his grip on his adamantium claws tightening. We need to get out of here, Hank. This fight is going to get ugly, fast. And I don't think Godzilla is going to come out on top. As SCP-682 continued to grow in strength and power, Godzilla stumbled backwards, its atomic breath dwindling to a faint glow. The king of the monsters was beginning to tire, and SCP-682 sensed its weakness. With a deafening roar, SCP-682 charged forward, its razor-sharp claws flashing in the sunlight. Godzilla tried to defend itself, but SCP-682 was too fast, too strong. The creature's claws tore through Godzilla's skin, causing the atomic monster to scream in agony. As the X-Men team members gathered around Beast and Wolverine, they watched in awe as SCP-682 tore Godzilla apart with its ungodly powerful jaws and sharp teeth. The creature's functional forelimbs claws stabbed through Godzilla's body, and with a mighty roar, SCP-682 lifted the monster off the ground and tore it in two. The team watched in stunned silence as SCP-682 ensured Godzilla's demise, using its long tongue to pull the dead remains towards its jaws and shattering them into a pool of blood. The creature then used its tongue to wipe the blood from its jawline, a gruesome yet fascinating display of its adaptability and strength. As the team stood there, frozen in awe, the scene shifted to SCP-682 resting and sleeping inside its container within the X-Mansion. The creature's multiple green eyes glowed softly in the dark, its chest rising and falling with a slow, rhythmic breathing. Beast turned to the team, his voice barely above a whisper. It's incredible. SCP-682's adaptability and strength are unmatched. We need to study it further, learn more about its capabilities and limitations. Wolverine nodded in agreement, his eyes still fixed on the container holding SCP-682. I'll make sure to keep an eye on it, Hank. We don't want it getting loose again. As the team began to disperse, Shadowcat turned to Beast with a curious expression. Hank, do you think SCP-682 could be a valuable ally in the future? Beast's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. That's a possibility, Kitty. But we need to be cautious. SCP-682's power is unmatched, but its unpredictability makes it a wild card. We'll need to study it further before we can even consider it as a potential ally. Beast nodded in agreement, his eyes sparkling with intellectual curiosity. Yes, Kitty, SCP-682's strength is on a completely different level. It's capable of going toe-to-toe with some of the most powerful monsters and opponents in the universe. Wolverine grunted in agreement, his eyes still fixed on the container holding SCP-682. I've seen some crazy stuff in my time, but this thing is something else. It's like it's from a whole different world. Shadowcat's eyes widened with excitement. Do you think it could take on some of the other big monsters we've encountered, Hank? Like, say, the Sentinels or the Brood? Beast's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. That's a possibility, Kitty. SCP-682's adaptability and strength make it a formidable opponent. But we need to be cautious. We don't know the full extent of its capabilities, and we don't want to unleash it on the world without being prepared for the consequences. As the team continued to discuss the implications of SCP-682's power, the creature itself remained resting and sleeping inside its container, its multiple green eyes glowing softly in the dark. Beast nodded in agreement, a hint of a smile on his face. Yes, Kitty, SCP-682's battle IQ is quite impressive. It's able to adapt and improvise in the heat of battle, using its intelligence and cunning to outmaneuver its opponents. Wolverine grunted in agreement, his eyes still fixed on the container holding SCP-682. I've seen it in action, Hank. This thing is a force to be reckoned with. It's like it has a sixth sense for battle, always staying one step ahead of its opponents. Shadowcat's eyes widened with excitement. That's amazing, Hank. With its strength, adaptability, and battle IQ, SCP-682 is basically unstoppable on the battlefield. Beast's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Yes, Kitty, SCP-682 is a formidable opponent, to say the least. But we need to remember that its intelligence and adaptability also make it a wild card. We can't predict how it will react in every situation, and that unpredictability makes it a potential liability. As the team continued to discuss the implications of SCP-682's abilities, the creature itself remained resting and sleeping inside its container, its multiple green eyes glowing softly in the dark. Beast's eyes sparkled with intellectual curiosity as he turned to Cyclops. Well, Scott, that's a good question. With SCP-682's adaptability and intelligence, the possibilities are endless. We've already seen it demonstrate incredible strength, speed, and agility. But I suspect there's more to it than that. Cyclops raised an eyebrow, his eyes narrowing thoughtfully. What do you mean, Hank? Beast leaned forward, his voice taking on a conspiratorial tone. I mean that SCP-682 may have abilities we haven't even seen yet. Its adaptability and intelligence make it a master of improvisation, and I suspect it could surprise us with new and unexpected abilities at any moment. Wolverine grunted in agreement, his eyes still fixed on the container holding SCP-682. I've seen it do some crazy stuff, Hank. I wouldn't put it past it to have a few more tricks up its sleeve. As the team continued to discuss the implications of SCP-682's abilities, the creature itself remained resting and sleeping inside its container, its multiple green eyes glowing softly in the dark. Cyclops' eyes widened in surprise as Beast explained SCP-682's adaptable tactics. That's incredible, Hank. It's like SCP-682 has a different strategy for every opponent it faces. Wolverine nodded in agreement, his eyes still fixed on the container holding SCP-682. I've seen it take down some of the toughest monsters out there, Scott. It's like it has a sixth sense for finding the weak points in its opponents and exploiting them. Beast leaned forward, his voice taking on a serious tone. Yes, and that's what makes SCP-682 so formidable. It's not just a mindless beast, it's a calculating, adaptable predator that will stop at nothing to emerge victorious. As the team continued to discuss SCP-682's tactics and abilities, the creature itself remained resting and sleeping inside its container, its multiple green eyes glowing softly in the dark. But despite its tranquil appearance, the team knew that SCP-682 was always ready to unleash its fury upon the world. Wolverine chuckled, a hint of a grin on his face. Yeah, that's one way to put it, kid. SCP-682's appetite for destruction is pretty much insatiable. It's like it has a bottomless stomach for monsters and mayhem. Beast nodded in agreement, his eyes sparkling with intellectual curiosity. Yes, and it's not just a matter of quantity, either. SCP-682 seems to have a particular taste for the most powerful and formidable monsters out there. It's like it has a desire to prove its dominance over the entire monster kingdom. Cyclops' eyes narrowed thoughtfully. That's a pretty disturbing thought, Hank. If SCP-682 is capable of taking down monsters like Godzilla and the kaijus, what's to stop it from turning its attention to us? The team fell silent, contemplating the implications of Cyclops' question. As they stood there, the container holding SCP-682 seemed to loom larger, a constant reminder of the monster's incredible power and unpredictable nature. Wolverine raised an eyebrow, a hint of skepticism on his face. You think that's it, Hank? You think SCP-682 just decided we're not food and now it's just going to chill out in its container? Beast nodded, a calm and collected expression on his face. Yes, Logan. I believe that's exactly what happened. SCP-682 is a highly adaptable creature, and it's clear that it's capable of making complex decisions about its environment and the creatures within it. Cyclops' eyes narrowed thoughtfully. I see what you're saying, Hank. But we still need to be cautious. We don't know what might trigger SCP-682's hunting instincts, and we don't want to be caught off guard if it decides to turn on us. Beast nodded in agreement. Of course, Scott. We'll continue to monitor SCP-682's behavior and adjust our protocols accordingly. But for now, it seems that the creature is content to rest and recover from its battle with Godzilla. As the team continued to discuss the implications of SCP-682's behavior, the creature itself remained calm and tranquil, its multiple green eyes glowing softly in the dark as it slept peacefully in its container. Beast's eyes remained fixed on the container, his gaze intense and focused. Fascinating, he muttered to himself. SCP-682's brain activity is slowing down, indicating a deep state of relaxation. Its heart rate is also decreasing, suggesting that it's entering a state of dormancy. Wolverine raised an eyebrow, his voice low and curious. You think it's going to sleep for a while, Hank? Beast nodded, his eyes still fixed on the container. Yes, Logan. I believe SCP-682 is going to remain in this state for several hours, possibly even days. Its body is still recovering from the battle with Godzilla, and it needs to conserve its energy. Cyclops' eyes narrowed thoughtfully. That gives us some time to study it further, Hank. What can we learn from SCP-682 while it's in this state? Beast's eyes sparkled with intellectual curiosity. Ah, Scott, that's a great question. While SCP-682 is dormant, we can run some tests to learn more about its physiology and behavior. We can also try to communicate with it, see if we can establish a connection. As the team began to discuss the possibilities of studying SCP-682 further, the creature itself remained calm and tranquil, its multiple green eyes glowing softly in the dark as it slept peacefully in its container. Beast turned to face the group of X-Men, a thoughtful expression on his face. Ah, yes, there's much more to SCP-682 than we've already observed. For one, its regenerative abilities are likely to be extremely advanced, given its ability to adapt to and survive in a wide range of environments. Jean Grey's eyes narrowed, her voice filled with concern. And what about its mental state, Hank? Is it capable of rational thought, or is it purely driven by instinct? Beast hesitated, his eyes clouding with uncertainty. That's a good question, Jean. While SCP-682's behavior suggests a high degree of intelligence and adaptability, its mental state is still largely unknown. It's possible that it may be capable of complex thought processes, but we'll need to run further tests to determine that for certain. Rogue's eyes sparkled with curiosity. And what about its strength, Hank? Can it lift massive objects or survive extreme temperatures? Beast nodded, a hint of a smile on his face. Yes, Rogue. SCP-682's physical strength is likely to be enormous, given its ability to take down Godzilla. And as for its durability, it's likely that it can survive in a wide range of environments, from extreme temperatures to high levels of radiation. Storm's eyes narrowed, her voice filled with a hint of concern. And what about its potential for destruction, Hank? If it were to escape, could it pose a threat to human civilization? Beast's expression turned serious, his eyes clouding with concern. That's a very good question, Storm. If SCP-682 were to escape, it's likely that it could pose a significant threat to human civilization. Its strength, durability, and adaptability make it a formidable opponent, and its potential for destruction is enormous. Beast's eyes lit up with interest as he turned to Jean Grey. Ah, yes, SCP-682's glowing green multiple eyes are indeed a fascinating feature. From what we've observed, it appears that the eyes are capable of emitting an intense, piercing glow that can be used to disorient or even incapacitate its opponents. Rogue's eyes widened with excitement. That's creepy, Hank. Can it use its eyes to blind us or something? Beast nodded, his expression serious. Yes, Rogue. That's a possibility. SCP-682's eyes are capable of emitting a wide range of electromagnetic frequencies, including visible light, ultraviolet radiation, and even gamma rays. If it were to focus its gaze on us, it could potentially cause serious harm or even permanent damage to our eyes or brains. Storm's eyes narrowed, her voice filled with concern. We need to be careful around this creature, then. If it can use its eyes to attack us, we'll need to find ways to protect ourselves. Beast nodded in agreement. Yes, Storm. We'll need to develop strategies for dealing with SCP-682's unique abilities, including its glowing green eyes. But for now, let's just focus on studying it and learning more about its behavior and capabilities. Beast's eyes lit up with interest as he turned to the team. Ah, yes, SCP-682's green glowing blade's tail is another fascinating feature. From what we've observed, it appears that the tail is capable of emitting an intense, pulsating glow that can be used to disorient or even incapacitate its opponents. Wolverine's eyes narrowed, his voice filled with concern. And what about the blades themselves, Hank? Can they cause serious harm? Beast nodded, his expression serious. Yes, Logan. The blades on SCP-682's tail are razor-sharp and capable of causing severe lacerations and puncture wounds. If it were to use its tail to attack us, we could be facing serious injury or even death. Rogue's eyes widened with excitement. That's terrifying, Hank. Can it use its tail to swipe at us or something? Beast nodded, his eyes locked on the container holding SCP-682. Yes, Rogue. SCP-682's tail is highly flexible and capable of making rapid, sweeping motions. If it were to use its tail to attack us, we'd need to be extremely careful to avoid its blows. As the team continued to discuss SCP-682's abilities, the creature itself remained calm and tranquil, its green glowing blade's tail twitching slightly as it slept. Beast's eyes sparkled with interest as he continued his analysis. Yes, and in addition to its green glowing blade's tail, SCP-682 also has the ability to generate spikes around its body when it's cornered or grasped by opponents. These spikes are razor-sharp and can cause serious injury or even death to anyone who comes into contact with them. Wolverine's eyes narrowed, his voice filled with concern. That's a nasty trick, Hank. Can it control when and where it generates these spikes? Beast nodded, his expression serious. Yes, Logan. SCP-682 appears to have complete control over its spike generation ability. It can generate spikes on any part of its body, and it can also control the size and shape of the spikes themselves. Rogue's eyes widened with excitement. That's so cool, Hank. Can it use its spikes to defend itself against attacks? Beast nodded, his eyes locked on the container holding SCP-682. Yes, Rogue. SCP-682 can use its spikes to defend itself against attacks, and it can also use them to attack its opponents. The spikes are a highly effective defense mechanism, and they make SCP-682 an even more formidable opponent. As the team continued to discuss SCP-682's abilities, the creature itself remained calm and tranquil, its green glowing blade's tail twitching slightly as it slept. But despite its peaceful appearance, the team knew that SCP-682 was a force to be reckoned with, and that it would stop at nothing to defend itself and assert its dominance. Wolverine's eyes widened in surprise, his voice filled with a mix of fascination and concern. That's insane, Hank. You're saying that the more damage it takes, the faster it heals and regenerates. Beast nodded, his expression serious. Yes, Logan. That's exactly what I'm saying. SCP-682's healing and regeneration abilities are directly tied to the amount of damage it receives. The more severe the injuries, the brighter its eyes glow and the faster it heals and regenerates. Rogue's eyes sparkled with excitement. That's like a superpower, Hank. Can it regrow lost limbs or repair damaged tissue? Beast nodded, his eyes locked on the container holding SCP-682. Yes, Rogue. SCP-682 can regrow lost limbs and repair damaged tissue with ease. Its regeneration abilities are so advanced that it can even regrow its entire body from a single cell. Storm's eyes narrowed, her voice filled with concern. That's a terrifying thought, Hank. If SCP-682 can regrow its entire body from a single cell, then it's virtually unkillable. Beast's expression turned grave, his eyes locked on the container holding SCP-682. Yes, Storm. That's exactly what I'm saying. SCP-682 is a creature of immense power and resilience, and it will stop at nothing to survive and adapt. As the screen faded to black, the team was left with a sense of unease and wonder. Hank's words lingered in their minds, leaving them to ponder the true nature of SCP-682. Maybe there's something extraordinary about this monster, Hank's voice echoed in their minds. Something more than just what meets the eye. The abrupt ending left the team with more questions than answers. What secrets lay hidden beneath SCP-682's terrifying exterior? What drove its insatiable hunger for destruction and adaptation? As the darkness lingered, the team couldn't shake off the feeling that they had only scratched the surface of SCP-682's true potential. The mystery of the monster remained, waiting to be unraveled. Here's the revised response. As the screen faded to black, the team was left with a sense of unease and wonder. The screen had mostly focused on SCP-682, sleeping peacefully inside its container. The camera had zoomed in slowly, capturing the monster's tranquil expression, before Hank's dialogue echoed through the silence. Maybe there's something extraordinary about this monster, Hank's voice whispered. Something more than just what meets the eye. The abrupt ending left the team with more questions than answers. What secrets lay hidden beneath SCP-682's terrifying exterior? What drove its insatiable hunger for destruction and adaptation? As the darkness lingered, the team couldn't shake off the feeling that they had only scratched the surface of SCP-682's true potential. The mystery of the monster remained, waiting to be unraveled.